right at the height of a big revival that was going on. We had all kind of angelic activity and great supernatural stuff and everything happening, and suddenly God says, call the children out and pray over them. Well, we called the children out, and the children were children. I mean, the boys were pulling on the girls' hair, and they were jostling for position, and it wasn't kind of holy, if you know what I mean. Right? It was normal. And so all God said was, pray over them. So I gave them a high five, each one of them, and said, okay, now go and heal the sick. Not really expecting God to do miracles, but kind of a few healings might take place just by the sheer grace of God and the sort of accident of chance. But the children demolished a big Lutheran church. I mean, they climbed over the pews and they laid hands on anything that couldn't move or did move. And for the next hour and a half, it was total chaos. And I thought, oh, well, that's the end of the revival. That's the end of me. And I don't think the pastors will ever forgive me. But I did what God kind of asked me to do, was pray over the children and send the children out. So 10:30 at night, the Lord speaks again and says, have testimonies. And I'm arguing again. I mean, I've got a big left brain. Have you? The problem is God speaks to the right side of the brain, not the left. And it's always a bit confusing at that point, because God speaks from right outside of the box into a situation. And if you get weird thoughts, they're normally from God. Okay? And I had this weird thought of having testimonies. And I said, Lord, we don't want testimonies. It'll take too long, for one thing, and all the parents and the sort of uncles and aunts are going to come out and say, little Susie prayed for me and I know I will get better. And I thought, I can't stand that. I mean, if they're healed, but I don't want a lot of kind of sentimentality in it. So I told the church in very British way, don't you dare come out unless you are totally healed. Manifestly, totally healed. Do not come out. Because if you do, I will give the laying on of hands a new meaning. I will strangle you. I mean, it was in fun, but there was a serious point to it. And 400 people came out. And I said, no. Go and sit down. You didn't listen. That's the problem with people from a Scandinavian background. They don't always listen. So it was like, please go and sit down again. Now, do not come out unless you are totally healed. And the 400 came out again, so I thought, well, okay, I'm lost. And it's quite dangerous to give the mic away. And God said, give the mic to the first sort of person who's standing there. And she's a small, kind of elderly lady, probably in her upper 70s, something like that. And her first words into the mic were, I don't know if I'm healed. And I resisted the temptation of laying on of hands. And she said, I don't know if I'm healed, she said, but 2 little children prayed over me, and the 5-year-old said, Granny, do you have cotton wool balls in your lungs? And she said, yes, that is kind of what I have. So the 5-year-old said, Jesus, take these cotton wool balls out of Granny's lungs, amen, and then ran off to pray for somebody else. And she said, I don't know if I'm healed, but fire went through my lungs and I can breathe, again.
Amen.
And she said, I've got multiple cancerous tumours filling both lungs. So I don't know if I'm healed. I haven't been to the doctors yet. And I thought, well, if you don't know you're healed when fire goes through your lungs and you can breathe. But anyway, she was wanting the confirmation. She went to the actual doctors about 3 weeks later. I was back in England and the pastor phoned me up. He said, Ian, you will not believe what I've just heard. She went to a Jewish doctor who had done 3 surgeries on her lungs. They had taken a piece of lung out for a biopsy to start it off. The 3 surgical operation scars were not there. The piece of lung that the doctor had taken out was there. And the tumours were not there either. Amen. And that was through 2 children. So I'm kind of getting excited now, and I hand the mic to the second guy, who's about 6'3", 4 tall, and his pants are kind of halfway up both legs. And